Hello everyone, this is Abhishek Singh and we are doing revision summary of electromagnetic field theory. And this is the part 6 of our series, and in this series we will cover electrostatic potential and Poisson's equation and Laplace equations. And we will do some questions to give insights of the topic. Okay, so let us start. Okay, so we will start with electrostatic potential. I have chosen system, Cartesian system, XYZ, you can see the axis, and I have taken a point charge Q at the center or at the origin, and let me choose 2 points, a point A and a point B, and let me draw a curve from A to B, a random curve. Okay, so my question is, let me draw the positions of A and B first. So the position of A is RA and position of B is RB. Okay. So my question is, what is the value of integral A to B of E dot dl? E is electric field, dl is infinitesimal displacement vector. Okay. So you can calculate the electric field due to a point charge. I can write this as integral from A to B. Electric field due to point charge Q at some distance r is nothing but Q over 4 pi epsilon naught r square r cap. With this we all know, due to a point charge electric field. And dl, let us take the dl in spherical polar coordinate system. So it would become dr r cap plus r d theta theta cap plus the third term would be r sin theta d phi phi cap. Okay, so you can all see that r dot r will be 1 and r dot theta is 0, r dot phi is 0, so we will be left with only one term, that is the first term. Rest terms this and this will give 0 due to dot product. Okay, so this is equivalent to integral from A to B Q over 4 pi epsilon naught r square dr. Okay, r dot r is 1 and we will be left with this quantity. So now we know A means RA and B means RB. So let me integrate this and we will get Q over 4 pi epsilon naught. It is constant, so we can take it out from the integration, and we have to integrate 1 over r square, and you can all integrate this, and I will directly write the values 1 over RA minus 1 over RB, because integral of 1 over r square is minus 1 over r. Okay, so after putting the values of A, that means RA, and B means RB, we will be left with this quantity. Okay, so after having solved this, can you guys tell me that what would be the integral of closed line integral of E dot dl? Just pause the video and think for a second what could be its value. Okay, so I am assuming that you all have thought on this. I will give my points. Okay, so closed integral means, let me show in the diagram that you have started from A, you have reached B, but you want to close the path, so you somehow from any path have closed the path. That means your initial point was A and your final point is also A. You can take any path, it is path independent. You can take this path, you can take this path, anything you want. Okay, so initial position was RA and final position would also become RA. So 1 over RA minus 1 over RA will become 0. So closed line integral of E dot dl is equal to 0. This is an important result, and we know from Curl theorem, or it is also known as Stokes theorem. Okay, so Stokes theorem says that closed line integral of E dot dl is equal to surface integral of del cross E dot dA. Okay, so this is known as Curl theorem, or we also call it as Stokes theorem. And this is equal to 0. RHS was 0, so I have put RHS equal to 0. Now, if integration is 0, then you can surely say the integrand must be 0. So here integrand is del cross E, that is curl of E. So I am writing this on the next slide. What we have concluded is del cross E is equal to 0. इसका मतलब curl of E is equal to 0. So whenever we have curl of a field, E is a field here. Let's say E is a field here. Whenever we have curl of some field equal to 0, we call this field E to be a conservative field. Conservative field. Conservative field. Okay. So electric field is a conservative field. We have concluded it over here by mathematical rigorous way. And if electric field is conservative, then the Coulombic force, which is a charge times electric field, would also be conservative field. Okay, so the definition of conservative field is its curl must be equal to 0, its del cross must be equal to 0. So you can see some questions in exam maybe that ask for a given force or for a given field, that this field is conservative, then what is the value of A or B? A or B will be embedded in the equation or in the form of electric field or force. So you can just calculate the curl of that field equal to 0 and you will get the value of A and B. So this is a conservative field, and I am using another property of curl, that whenever we have curl of a vector equal to 0, we can write that vector E is equal to gradient of some scalar, let's say some scalar phi, and I am saying that this phi is equal to let me erase this. Okay, and I am saying that phi is equal to negative of V. V is also some scalar, and I can write this as minus of gradient of V. And here this V is known as electrostatic potential, electric potential or electrostatic potential. Okay, this is how we introduce electrostatic potential, and this is a differential form. You can write it integral form to calculate V. So V at R would be equal to minus integral from infinity to, this is infinity, from infinity to R E dot dl. Okay, this is how we define potential at some position R. Why infinity? Because by assumption we take V at infinity is equal to 0. This is that's why I have taken integral from infinity to some R, because infinity is taken as reference, and at reference our potential is assumed to be 0. Okay, so let us solve an easy example, and that example says okay, before solving the example, let me calculate the potential difference between 2 points VB minus VA. So it is equal to minus integral from A to B E dot dl. This is the formula of potential difference between 2 points A and B. And you have to remember this formula, and you can directly use this formula to calculate potential if you are given with the electric field. And I have taught you that how we can calculate electric field in several cases of spherical symmetry, cylindrical symmetry, and planar symmetry using Gauss law. Using Gauss law, you can easily calculate electric field, and after having calculated electric field, you can calculate the potential at any point or the potential difference between 2 points. Okay, so let us see an easy example. That example says we have a point charge q at some point, and let's say a distance r away from this is a distance r away, we have a point p, and we are supposed to calculate the potential due to that point charge q at point p, and we must have very far infinity, which is reference. So what I have taught you is, for calculating the potential at p, we have to integrate with a negative sign from infinity to that r. R is the position vector or position of point P. Okay, E dot dl. And you know, for a point charge, electric field is Q over 4 pi epsilon naught R square. And dl here will become dr. So after integrating this, so integration is the part of class 12th. I am not going to integrate in this session. So we will you will get q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught, and this is very easy integration. That's why I'm not spending time on integrating over r. So you can conclude from here that for a given point charge, you can directly put potential as q, that charge, divided by 4 pi epsilon r. R is the distance where you are supposed to calculate the potential. Okay. So here I will show some superposition principle kind of thing to you guys, as we have seen in the electric field case as well. So here the superposition principle says, let's say you have q1 charge and you wish to calculate potential at some position r1. This is point P. You have some q2 charge which is at position r2 from P. R2 is quite confusing. R2 at P. Similarly, you have many charges and Qn is nth charge which is at position Rn from P. So the net potential V at P would be equal to this. I should write in a proper way. So V at P must be equal to sum of potentials. As potential is a scalar quantity, so you can directly add potentials. Okay, so V1 plus V2 plus V3 plus up to Vn, and you can write Q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R1, as we have calculated earlier in the previous example. Similarly, Q2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R2 and up to Qn divided by 4 pi epsilon naught Rn. Okay, or you can simply take the constants common, like 1 over 4 pi epsilon is constant in all the terms. So why do we repeat those? So you can write q2 over r2, q1 over r1 plus up to so on qn over rn. So this is the superposition principle in case of our point charges potential. So let us see an interesting example of thin spherical shell. This is a shell, not a circle or ring. It is a 3D body, but I cannot draw a 3D body on this. That's I have drawn it as a circle, but you have to assume it as sphere. Okay, this is a thin hollow sphere. Inside we have nothing. We have just a thin hollow sphere with a charge q and radius, let's say capital R. Okay, so we can have two regions. Region 1 is inside and region 2 is outside the sphere or spherical shell. Can you guys tell me what would be the electric field inside the shell in region 1? Yes, you can easily tell using Gauss law. You know, closed integral of E dot dA would be equal to Q by epsilon naught. Let me write this. Closed integral of E dot dA would be equal to Q enclosed divided by epsilon naught. But for inside, when you draw a Gaussian surface, let's say this is a Gaussian surface, and whole charge is on the surface. Whole charge is on the surface. So inside this Gaussian surface, you won't have any charge. This Q is equal to 0. So you can say electric field in the first region would become equal to 0. And similarly, you can calculate electric field in the second region, which I am not going to calculate, as I have taught you in the previous lectures how to calculate electric field in spherical symmetry using Gauss law. So electric field outside in the second region is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r square. Okay, I am writing the magnitude only. Okay. So you know the electric field in both the region, and this region is also known as R greater than R, and this region is also known as R less than R. Okay. So we are asked to calculate potential inside the shell. Let's say first we calculate the potential inside the shell, and then we will calculate the potential outside as well. Okay. So we have to calculate potential in region 1 and region 2. Okay, let me erase this region 2 and I can write this again here. This is region 2. So I am starting my solution having known the electric fields for both the regions. So potential, let's say we draw 2 points. This is axis. We have a point P and a point Q. Whenever I write potential at P, I mean potential at any point inside the sphere. Whenever I write Q, I mean potential at any point outside the sphere as a function of small r. Okay. So for P, potential at P, what we have learned up till now is we have to integrate with a negative sign from infinity to some r, which is a position of point P, E dot dl, right? E dot dl. But we have two different values of E. E is not continuous. So we have to break this integral into two parts, and the parts would be minus integral from infinity to capital R, because from infinity to capital R, this is capital R point, R is equal to capital R, we have a constant electric field E2. Okay, so we will write here E2 dot dl minus integral from R to that small r. This is small r. Okay, in this case this is small r. In this region we have electric field is equal to E1, and E1 itself is 0. Let me write this E1 dot dl, but we know E1 itself is 0, so this quantity would become equal to 0. Okay, okay, ठीक. So we will be left with only this quantity, and you know electric field, and you know how to integrate. So dl will become equal to dr. Okay, in this simple case dl will become equal to dr. So potential, you can easily integrate this. Okay, I'm assuming you can easily integrate, and you will be left with Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught capital R. This is potential at point P, which can be any point inside the shell, and the potential P is constant. You can see this is constant. This is not a function of small r. This is a function of capital R. And capital R is a constant for a given shell, and Q is also constant for a given shell. So electric field inside is constant. Inside electric field is constant, which was as expected, because electric field inside is 0. Then potential must be constant using this relation. Using this relation, you can say when electric field is constant, sorry, electric field is zero, that means this gradient must be zero. Means we must not change, we must be constant. So it is what we expect. Okay. So potential inside a shell is constant. This is equipotential. You can say the inside region is equipotential. Potential is constant. And now let us calculate the potential at point Q. And Q is a point outside. For infinity to reaching Q, we will only encounter the potential electric field E2, not E1. So we don't have to break the integral in this part. Let me write potential at Q is equal to integral infinity to some r E2 dot dl. So we won't encounter E1 in this case. And after integrating, we know E2 and we know how to integrate. After integrating, we will get Q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught small r, which you can easily see VQ is inversely proportional to R. It will decay while we increase the R. Okay, so you can conclude here that for a shell, inside potential is constant, and that is equal to charge divided by 4 pi epsilon naught radius of that shell. And outside, the potential will decay as 1 over R, and the expression is given as Q over 4 pi epsilon naught R. Okay, let us see an extended form of the previous question. And I am not going to solve this question. You can solve this question, and I will tell you how to solve. So you have two concentric spherical shells with charge Q1 and charge Q2 with radii A and radii B, and you are supposed to calculate potential in region 1, region 2 and region 3. Okay, so in the region 1 we have electric field equal to 0. Electric field in region 1 would become equal to 0 because there is no charge inside the inner shell. Okay, and for region 2, electric field E2 will become equal to Q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught R, where R is in between A and B. Okay, so this is also very easy. You can draw a Gaussian surface in this region, and the charge enclosed in this region would become equal to Q1 only, and you can integrate and solve that part. Similarly, E3, for E3 we will draw Gaussian surface in this region, a complete sphere. I am not drawing that sphere, and that E3 in the third region will become equal to Q1 plus Q2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught some r, where r is greater than b. Okay, why Q1 plus Q2? Because for this Gaussian surface you have to draw a closed surface. I am not drawing this. The charge enclosed inside would be Q1 plus Q2. That's why you will get something like this. Okay, so having known all the electric fields in all regions 1, 2 and 3, you can calculate the potential just by integrating. Okay, for the first region you have to break the integral in three parts. For minus infinity to b, minus infinity to b, from b to a, from a to that r. Okay, you have to put all the values of E3, E2 and E1 respectively. For part 2, potential calculating in part 2, you have to integrate for two parts, from infinity to r, sorry, infinity to b and b to some r, which r is in between a and b. And similarly you can calculate the potential outside, but I am not calculating that potential. I am giving you a trick how you can directly calculate the potential using my trick. That trick says, as you have solved in the earlier example, that potential inside a shell of radius capital R and charge Q is constant, and that is given by charge q over 4 pi epsilon naught radius of that shell. Okay. So here also in the first region v1, for the region v1, that means this region this region is inside of both the shells, shell with charge q1 and shell with charge q2. So it will be equal to q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught radius of the sphere with the charge q1 is a, plus q2 divided by radius of 4 pi epsilon naught times radius of that shell which contains charge q2. So potential in the first region will become equal to q1 over 4 pi epsilon naught a plus q2 over 4 pi epsilon naught b. You can verify this result. I am telling you this is true. You can just integrate over the three regions 3 to 1 and you will get the potential as I have written on the board. Okay, so now you will tell me what is the potential in second region. So in the second region V2 is, for second region, let's say we are here. We are outside the inner sphere and we are inside the outer sphere. Okay, so for outside, we have seen in the previous example, the potential for outside is decaying as 1 over r. Okay, so you can directly write q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught sum r, plus this point is inside the outer sphere, the charge q2. You can write q2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught b. Here we don't have r, we have b because we are inside the shell of radius b and charge q2. Okay, so similarly you can write v3. I will write v3 in the next page. v3 is the potential in the third region outside, and this region is outside of both the shells. So for both the shells we will the potential will decay as 1 over r. So you can directly write q1 plus q2 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught r. Okay, you can actually separately write q1 over 4 pi epsilon naught r plus q2 over 4 pi epsilon naught, but I have combined because everything is common except q1 and q2. So v3, which is valid for r greater than b, is something like that. So you don't have to calculate for spherical shell cases. You can directly write potential by intuition. Okay, so let us see an exam, a previous year question, and this PYQ was asked in the recent JAM exam 2020, JAM 2020. And what was the question? Question is very easy. I have solved several difficult problems, very good intuitive problems, but this is very easy question. You can read by pausing this video. Okay, so two stationary points with equal and opposite charges are at some fixed distance from each other, as you can see in the diagram, q and minus q. That point having zero electric potential lie on, uh, what are the points having no what is the plane, sorry, how should I say? Okay, so as the question is asking, the points having zero potential will form the locus of a plane, a sphere, a cylinder, or two parallel planes, as given in the question. So you have to find the locus of the points which have zero electric potential. As both the charges are equal and opposite, so you must have the intuition that the potential in the between point of them is equal to zero. Why? Because both the charge are equal and opposite, and that between point, in between midpoint, is at equal distances from both the charges. So the potential due to plus q and minus q will cancel because everything is common except that minus sign. So the potential due to both the charges at this point is zero. Okay, ignore this plane as of now. Uh, okay, so now let us draw a plane. Now I have drawn the plane, and you can take any point on the plane. Okay, so let us draw this. and it will be perpendicular to this and also perpendicular to this. So this is, let's say, A, distance A. This is also A, as this is the midpoint. Okay. Now this height is, let's say, B. So this distance would be under root A square plus B square. Under root A square plus B square. Similarly, this distance is also equal to under root A square plus B square. Again, any point in this plane will have same distance from charge Q and minus Q. So all the points in this plane will have zero potential. So the answer is B. Okay, so this was very easy question, intuitive question. You can easily solve this question. Okay, so let us see Poisson's equation. Okay, so let us do it quickly. We know from the differential form of Gauss law that del dot E is equal to rho over epsilon naught. This is differential form of Gauss law. We also know from potential that E is equal to negative gradient of potential. Okay, this is the equation for potential, relation between electric field and potential. Putting this value over here, we will get del dot del means del square. Del square of V is equal to, that minus sign will we will take to the right, and this will equal to rho over epsilon naught. This equation is called as Poisson's equation. Okay, this is called Poisson's equation. Del square V is equal to rho over epsilon naught. Let's say we have a region where rho is 0. That means we don't have any charge in some region. So for that region, del square V will become equal to 0 as rho is 0. This is called Laplace equation. Laplace equation. Okay, so Laplace equation is a special case of Poisson's equation, and you can get questions in which you will be given with some potential, and you are asked to calculate the rho, volume charge density in that region. So you have to calculate the Laplacian del square of that potential and multiply it with minus epsilon naught. You will get the rho. So I think this is all for today's video. You can do practice questions on Poisson's equation and Laplace equation, and ask your doubts on Eduncle. So dear students, if you are new, you can subscribe to Eduncle for IIT JAM, CSIR NET and UGC NET exams study material, which is prepared by India's top experienced faculties. You can also download Eduncle's mobile application, where more than 250 tutors will be answering your doubts. Thank you.